All right, it is 8:30. In the interest of time, I will call this meeting to order. This is the May Environment and Land Use Committee meeting. Roll call committee members. Let's go around the room.
Whalen here.
Munson here.
Dave Larson here.
Severson here.
Nelson here.
Stacy Klein here.
And then I think virtual we have Todd.
Andy Todd.
Okay. And staff.
Good morning, Susan Fisher, Corporation Counsel.
Haley Passo, DLM.
Mark Carlson, DLM.
Verge Gamera, Department of Land Management.
Okay, thank you. Certify that open meeting law requirements have been met with proper posting. We have a 15-item agenda. Any changes need to be made?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, first by Larson,
Second.
second from Whalen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Has everyone had a chance to read through our April 2nd meeting minutes? Any corrections or additions there? Hearing none. Did entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Motion to adopt from
Second.
Severson, second from Larson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Okay. Motion carried. All right, so we are up to our first public hearing of the day. I will call the public hearing to order at 8:32. And Randy, would you please read the petition?
Yes. There will be a public hearing before the Trumpealeau County Environment and Land Use Committee on Wednesday, May 7th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. in the county boardroom of the courthouse, 18600 Hobson Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin. The purpose is a land use change rezone from rural residential to commercial on approximately 1.0 acre, more or less, to have a discount grocery store and craft store. The location is part of Lot 1 of a CSM document number 418894, lying in the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 17 in Township 22 North, Range 7 West, Town of Pigeon, Trumpealeau County, Wisconsin. The parcel number is follows. Upon request, a map of the property may be obtained from the Department of Land Management. The hearing is requested by Fannie A. Wengert, petitioner, Andrew J. Wengert, Lydia May Wengert, Fannie A. Wengert, Edna A. Wengert, Lizzie A. Wengert, landowners, Whitehall, Wisconsin. Trumpealeau County invites you to join this meeting as follows. To provide public comment on these hearings, please call 715-538-1894. Your attendance and comments are encouraged at this hearing. If you are unable to attend and have any questions, please call Verge Gamera with the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1916 or email at verge.gamera@county.trempealeau.wisconsin.us. If you are unable to attend and desire to submit a written comment, please send your written comments to the Department of Land Management, 18600 Hobson Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773, or email to, once again, Verge. All emails and written comments must be received by May 6, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. Please know that written comments will be read at the public hearing up to 250 words. All written comments must include the name and address of its author and the request that the letter be read at a particular meeting date. Any special interest groups or expert witnesses will be allowed 20 minutes to give a presentation and must register at least 1 week prior to the meeting date by calling Verge Gamera of the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1916. Sincerely, Verge Gamera, Zoning Technician.
Thank you, Randy. Once again, this is a public hearing. If anyone wishes to offer public comment, this will be your time. I do have a couple registered to talk. Can we have an overview from you, Verge?
Good morning. First, I'd like to acknowledge Fannie and Lizzie Wengert, who are here in the audience, the applicants. The rezone is from rural residential to commercial, as it said on the announcement, and it's on approximately 1 acre. It's for a discount grocery and craft store for at-home income. They would like to have some meats, canned goods, dry foods, and paper products, etc. And then anyone with any crafts would be able to bring them in. Letters were sent to all adjoining landowners. We do have a couple gentlemen here that want to testify. It's my understanding that the driveway to the store would be off of Haug Road, and the building is to be about 4,600 square feet. The public hearing was filed with the county clerk, and the town clerk and the county board supervisor were notified. It was published in the paper on April 16th and April 23rd. And the land use plan states the land is EA2. And if approved, this would go to full county board on May 19th. That's all I have.
Okay,
I do
thank
have a
you.
letter from the town, too.
Okay, thank you, Virg. Is there anything you guys would like to add at this time, Fanny or Lizzie? Okay, sounds good. All right. She thought it was well represented, yeah. Okay, so once again, this is our opportunity for anyone who would like to comment publicly. I do have a couple here that have registered. Ken Slobby, would you like to step up and say your piece?
Well, I'm not too good at public speaking, but the current concerns I have, placement of that building. We have 80 acres of pine trees to the north of that. In 2012 or 2013, we had a meeting at Town of Pigeon regarding a placement of a trailer on that property. And at that meeting, it was decided that the trailer needed to be at least 100 feet away from our line fence to protect pine trees. I don't know if there's anything about that in the codes or not, but I do think maybe a fire chief should get involved in placing that building because of the hazard there. The 100-foot easement or access at that time, I don't know if you can build on a 100-foot access or if that has to stay as strictly access. And I don't know what was done since then regarding land change or anything like that. There are two wells approximately 20 feet from my line fence. Again, that would affect the placement of that building. I think one well is being used and the other one is just a pipe in the ground. I don't know if that was legally abandoned or not. And if this is a commercial building, can it ever be used for a residential building? But yeah, the placement of the building, I guess that's the part I'm concerned about with the wood-burning stove and the pine trees right there. The pine trees are tinderbox. I guess that's why I feel maybe a fire chief should get involved in the placement of that building or the wood stove or whatever they have. I guess that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Next, we have another registered to testify, Gerald Feeney.
All right, I'm Gerald Feeney. I border this property on the south side. I have 116 acres. We rent some, and I do some of my own work. I was coached yesterday by some of the people that are in this room that what I'm going to talk about is not your actual concern. You don't want to deal with it. You're trying to put a stamp on a commercial building and give them approval. However, back in the 2021, the state legislature did some homework on easement issues, and I want to go on record as saying that there's easement issues here that are not going to be solved by the giving or taking of this commercial piece of property. the state of Wisconsin, the legislature has since clarified and made statutes on private driveways, use of them, responsibilities, care, and none of these issues were originally taken care of when this property, we owned the whole property at one time, so when Hurlbut come in and did his, he did it 3 times, I believe, and we weren't aware of the changes that were made. But 3 times the property, in process of the sale, how much land is going to be in this sale, and I think it was changed 3 times. And then the easements were set up with no sort of collaboration with us, and that has run into a problem. So I'm going on record today as saying that there's issues with the current easement, the property on the road, the maintenance of the road, and I will qualify that by saying that the half of the road that these folks own and the part of the road that they go across that is mine, they have 99.5% of the wear and tear that goes on this road. The only time I go across this road is in spring and fall with farm machinery to farm an acre of land from Amos Miller, who's a neighbor of mine. So I'm today only making, it's not the part of this panel to make an issue about easements, but I want to go on record to say that there's some disagreements here. I am not in favor of what's going on here. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Gerald.
Kellen, can I clarify for the record?
That would be great.
Mr. Feeney was in yesterday. We did not coach him on anything. We simply told him that he would be allowed to testify, but he had to stick to points pertaining to the rezone.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Verge. Okay, that's all that has registered to testify. Is there anyone else that wishes to offer public comment? Verge, could you read the letter from the town, please?
Yes, the letter is dated February 7th of 2025. It says Sarum Wingard property approached the town of Pigeon to rezone 1 acre of agricultural land to commercial. This rezone is to accommodate a dry goods grocery store with access from Haug Road. This property is located at W15342 McRae Lane, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773. The Town of Pigeon Board has approved this request if all Department of Land Management requirements have been met. Town of Pigeon Chairperson David A. Erickson.
Okay, thank you, Verge. At this point, haven't heard of anyone else who would like to testify, so I will close the public hearing at 8:43 and entertain a motion from the committee.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Motion
Did you make
made-
a motion to approve?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion from Klein to approve, second from Severson. Further discussion and questions from the committee?
So is this pole shed already built, or they're looking at building one? And then that's what we're talking about, like the, part of what the discussion is the placement?
Is that something maybe you ought to address?
If the building is currently there or not.
No, the building is not there currently.
Okay.
Are we able to show like exactly where where it would be planned to put up on the land?
I was planning to put the main bulk of the building onto the property after the 100-foot easement. I want to leave 20 feet or 25 feet of space to put a lane up over the hill, so that we can access the Hog Road from our property.
Is it going in here, kind of?
Yes. And, but I do have an arm that stretches up through on the 100-foot road frontage. I have an arm that stretches up through there, but it will be 40 feet from each side of the line fence.
You know, because of the discussion about the easement that's not really in here, maybe we could have a little more explanation about the easement that they're talking about.
If you guys want to speak to it first, I can.
I guess we just made it known that the easement is not our issue. You know, our issue is
Civil.
the commercial zoned area, and then there's this 40-foot setback that she already had mentioned to the property lines. And the easement, I mean, if they were gonna use that easement to get to the store, maybe we could talk about it, but they're not gonna use that easement to get to the store. They're gonna use that other access, so
Okay.
that'd be my 2 cents on it, I guess.
Okay,
Am I allowed to
Yeah.
say one more thing?
yes.
Mr. Slavy, I wanted to tell you, I have plans to have a coal in-floor heat setting, and I plan to put it on the opposite side of the store of your woods to have respect for your woods, so you don't have any problem with that.
Will you have some kind of a spark arrestor on your chimney?
Yes.
Okay, that's, you guys can have that discussion. That's a civil issue, really.
Well, I guess I do have some discussion as far as the placement of that building.
Public comment is technically over, unless the committee would like to hear.
Oh, I thought you had some discussion here now.
Discussion amongst the committee. Other questions?
Just for clarify, so then the road that's actually gonna go through, like that long portion to the hog, or however you pronounce it, that road? I just wanna like clarify with Verge, so I make sure I'm understanding where that
Driveway,
driveway will go.
The driveway's gonna be here.
It'll be, okay, that's what I thought.
but
This is
the,
Hog
Yep.
Road right here.
Yep, okay.
the building will not be within that easement there then?
No, she said it's gonna be over here.
Over there, yeah.
I would have a 110-foot strip that goes up into that, but
Yep.
it'll still be 40 feet from each side of the line. It's 110 feet long, 20 feet wide for four-story warehouse.
Okay. Okay, questions from the committee? Public comment's technically over.
Pardon?
Public comment is over.
Well, is this public comment with her testimony?
She's a petitioner, so that's why she's there
Well,
to,
she was asked by. she was
By the
asked
committee.
By the committee.
yep. So she was here addressing one of our questions. Anything else from the committee?
Can somebody point out exactly on this map on the screen where the building will be, more exact?
Is that something,
I'm assuming it's gonna be in this portion right here, kind of where
Yes.
this gray area, or whatever that is, a garden, right in here. So that way, they know there's 40 feet here, 40
Okay.
feet here for the building.
Okay, and then I'll call it property line going on this map up and down. The property owned would be an extension of that line up to the pine tree, is that? And then the easement would
What
start.
they own is this here.
They, okay, they
They
own
this and this access.
They own that access? We've been
Yes.
talking about an
Yeah, yeah.
easement. I'm confused over here on.
He's
what
talking about an
easements
easement
don't show
that's
up on a map.
not even at
Yeah,
that
he's
easement.
talking about an easement over here.
Over
correct?
there, okay, okay, now it's,
Yeah, an easement over here.
okay.
That's what he's talking
Right.
it's
about.
not relevant to,
Correct.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah, they own
That was
all this
confusing.
property and then this.
And then,
Okay.
okay, okay.
it does.
Yeah, that
it
does.
does.
Now we-
100-foot strip
Was an easement,
Right.
right.
all growth.
This makes a
Yeah,
lot
well,
more
easement-
sense with that.
Easements don't show up on the map.
That makes
Right,
it
no,
clear.
no, it's all good, that's what we're discussing.
But you still have the two water wells there, so that don't give you 100 feet there. See, nobody puts their finger on a map where exactly the building is gonna be, so how can the group here decide yay or nay as far as passing this? Because you don't know where the water wells are.
Because we're not approving the building today, we're approving the rezone of the property. We're not approving a building. And it's a commercial
different issue.
rezone, so she would have to meet commercial guidelines for the building. And when she applies for the permit for the building, she will have to meet the setbacks that are in the Trumpealeau County zoning ordinance at that time.
I'm sorry, I just didn't realize.
Yeah, and I'm just explaining.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Hearing,
I wish that your public comments are over, but while they are in the room, I would like to ask, is all traffic going to be deleted from my road and put onto their access?
so all access to the store would actually come off Haug Road?
All of the driving, all of the cars that go through there, digging up the road, that's all over on my road?
Are you saying we have to change our address?
Right now, you are driving down this road and only repairing this part of the road, and the part that goes to your mailbox, you're leaving in ruts. Are you going to quit using that road now for daycare?
We don't have daycare.
Okay, that's good, because for 12 or 11 years you have, and that's the reason the road is in the
No,
shape
we
it's
haven't.
in. I'm sorry.
Never had daycare back there. Yes, we did.
Okay,
Not a regular day, just a.
Okay.
You care for children.
you guys can take that outside, that's not per our purview. Okay,
Am I done then?
I think you were
And
done,
thank you.
yes. Thank you. Anything else from the committee? Hearing no discussion, we'll call the vote. All in favor of approving this rezone, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. This will move on to full county board later on this month. Next, we have another rezone. Public hearing for land use change rezone from EA2 to commercial for 715 Realty. I will call this public hearing to order at 8:52. And Randy, would you please read the notice?
Yes. There will be a public hearing before the Trumpealeau County Environment and Land Use Committee on Wednesday, May 7th, 2025 at 8:35 a.m. in the county boardroom of the courthouse, 18600 Hobson Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin. The purpose is a land use change rezone from exclusive Ag 2 to commercial on approximately 5.89 acres, more or less, to build an automotive shop. The location is Lot 2 of Certified Survey Map 272, Volume 14. Document follows. Lying in the southeast quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 1, Township 22 North, Range 7 West, Town of Sumner, Trumpealeau County, Wisconsin. Parcel numbers listed. Upon request, a map of the property may be obtained from the Department of Land Management. The hearing is requested by 715 Realty LLC, landowner Emma Acosta, manager petitioner, Osseo, Wisconsin. Trumpealeau County invites you to join this meeting as follows. To provide public comment on these hearings, please call 715-538-1894. Your attendance and comments are encouraged at this hearing. If you are unable to attend and have any questions, please call Verge Gamrath with the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1916 or email at verge.gamrath@county.trempealeau.wisconsin.us. If you are unable to attend and desire to submit a written comment, please send your written comments to the Department of Land Management, 18600 Hobson Street, Whitehall, Wisconsin, 54773, or email to, once again, Verge. All emails and written comments must be received by May 6, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. Please know that written comments will be read at the public hearing up to 250 words. All written comments must include the name and address of its author and the request that the letter be read at a particular meeting date. Any special interest groups or expert witnesses will be allowed 20 minutes to give a presentation and must register at least 1 week prior to the meeting date by calling Verge Gamrath at the Department of Land Management at 715-538-1916. Sincerely, Verge Gamrath, zoning technician.
Thank you, Randy. We have nobody registered to testify, but at this point, this is your chance to offer any public comments. Verge, do you have anything else to?
Sure. I'd like to acknowledge Emma Koska, who's in the room today. And the rezone, as the notice said, is from exclusive ag 2 to commercial on 5.89 acres for an automotive shop. This was published in the newspaper April 16th and April 23rd. Letters were sent to adjoiners, and I received no correspondence from anyone. This was filed with the county clerk. The town clerk and the county board supervisor were notified. In the comp plan, this has the land staying in EA2, but if you did look at the land use map, there's quite a bit of commercial around there already. And if this is approved, this would go to full county board on May 19th, and I do have a letter from the town also. So
Okay,
that's all.
thank you. Well, once again, if anyone wishes to offer public comment, now is your chance. Emma, do you have anything you'd like to add at this point? Okay, thank you. Do you have a letter from the town, you said?
I have a letter from the town of Sumner dated March 17th, 2025. It says, "Dear Emma, I hope you are doing well. I want to inform you that your petition to amend the Trempealeau County zoning ordinance from agriculture to commercial for 5.89 acres at Section 1, Town 24 North, Range 7 West Southeast Quarter, the Northwest Quarter, in Town of Sumner for tax parcel 02600270005. Legal description, which I kind of already read, was received and approved by the Town of Sumner Board at the March 11th, 2025 meeting. We wish you all the best. Thanks, Caitlin DeWitt's, Town of Sumner Clerk."
Okay, thank you, Verge. Once again, this is last call for public comment. And seeing nobody running through the door, I will close the public comment period at 8:57 and entertain a motion from the committee.
Motion to
I make the motion to approve.
We'll give it to Andy because he's not here.
Second.
Second from Whalen. So discussion questions for Emma or staff?
I'm not sure that it pertains again here, but do we have any proposal of where the driveway access will come from?
Elviston Road, or is it Highway 10?
No, they can't have Highway 10, they
No.
have a
We
county
already
road.
have a driveway
Okay,
done
existing.
by Kevin.
Oh, Rungsted, the
Yes.
highway department.
Yep,
So does it come off R then?
it does.
Okay,
Okay, yep.
okay. Yeah, it's a good use of that land.
Right, yep.
So don't try to grow anything, is what you're saying, Kevin.
Sandburrs maybe.
By golly,
Grasshoppers running through it.
Yeah.
Running and going.
sounds like a good spot.
Yeah, yeah. Any other questions from the committee? Hearing none, I will call the vote. All in favor of approving this rezone, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We will move that to full board. Thank you. Item number 8 is comprehensive planning, and that's actually Becky, who stepped out in the hallway for a moment. Oh, happy birthday, Mark.
You're getting younger.
35 again, right?
No, I don't want to be 35. Don't celebrate him like I used to.
It happens.
Just be glad you're still at it. Yeah, out there it is.
That's true. Maybe it wouldn't hurt.
You can start a little bit on that. She's gonna
Absolutely.
also, but, I mean, we have, I think, from my understanding, we have money available to have some planning assistance for comprehensive planning. and she's gonna kind of discuss that.
Okay. That gives us a little framework, is what we're talking about.
What's that?
That gives us a little bit of what we're gonna talk about.
Then she's gonna reach out to townships and maybe even some municipalities.
Okay.
We did set aside.
Funds.
Yeah, there's some money available, I mean, I guess. We tried hiring a planner at one time and that kind of went south.
Yeah. Is she coming in, Verge, you said? Well, would anyone have any objection to doing item 9 and then coming back?
I guess the biggest zoning update is, all well heard that Burge is retiring, so this is the last meeting.
What?
Didn't hear that.
Nobody told me.
Oh,
We could have had a cake
wow.
I was gonna say, when you're 25 and you're walking out the door.
This is terrible news.
Well, sorry, your birthday kind of took backseat.
Yeah. That is quite a, well, good for you. Yeah, well deserved.
I said I wish I had a count of all the words that I've typed
Yeah.
in all these years.
Yeah, I could probably do that for us.
During the mining, there was 60
Oh,
pages
my.
of minutes. Yeah.
Somehow,
Oh,
can you
my.
like spend the rest of your time here putting outlines out? So we got some, putting outlines of all you know
Well, I
and
wasn't in
done.
charge of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I had to do those, some of that at home, because I couldn't get it done in a 40-week
I believe.
work week.
Crazy times.
You didn't list up there how many years it was, Bruce. Did I miss that part?
How many years what?
Thank you for your years of service. 29.
29 years.
You and Mark are running neck and neck on that, aren't you? Oh, is he on 30? Wow. Wow.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Anything?
We'll discuss more zoning stuff.
Okay. Okay, well, let's, we'll jump into our comprehensive planning discussion.
Yeah, thank you. I forgot that I was on here too. So I wanted to give an update and to kind of talk about, and maybe holding off on this until next month, because I wanted to give you information about funding that we have available and thinking about the townships and the use of those funding, and how we move that forward in making sure that our comprehensive plans are updated throughout the county. Our townships as well as cities and villages, because we're talking a lot about housing and how we move those things forward. So I guess I'd rather, if you don't mind, if I could come back at our next meeting and have a little bit more information for you. And that was my plan. I apologize.
Okay, no, that's fair. We can put that on next month's agenda as well then. Okay, back to zoning updates.
Well, we have one conditional use permit slated, and it's for a campground. It's kind of a unique, I don't know if you remember when we changed the ordinance to allow camping cabins because an individual wanted to put up some cabins. Well, they changed their tune and they're gonna have some yurts type things, but like 3 of them on a piece of property, and they're working with the health department, for certification and all that. And we do have a requirement now on our ordinance that any new campgrounds, like permanent campgrounds, require a conditional use permit. That way we can, but they're gonna they're meeting all the local health standards and state requirements for campgrounds, and we're just requiring a conditional use permit. And unless someone comes in the next day or so, remember that's the only public hearing that we have on board right now. And then probably some discussion about the letter that you received from Mr. Malacheski. Probably gonna not meet the deadline for a public hearing on that if we needed to have one. Or if he goes the variance route, the variant, BOA will be hearing it, not the committee.
Sure.
Yeah, there was something else, but I can't think of it right now, but, well, let's see here. Oh, then that resolution, that email that Susan had sent to everybody
Solar.
about solar.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to, I think that's probably a good idea to at least go on record with that type of thing. I'll work with her and maybe she'll pen the resolution accordingly and we'll go from there. That's something we could probably have possibly on our next meeting.
I think I was gonna ask to have that on the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought it up at the town association, and of course, it was storming that night, and everybody was looking like a deer in headlights or whatever at that time of night, but nothing was brought up or moved forward
From them.
from them on that, but Dave and I have been doing a little research on that, but we can discuss that later.
Okay.
I think what she had proposed in that email is a way of showing that we want the state to
Take a
relook
look.
at things, you know?
Right.
And then,
Yeah, she said that there's never been a study like
right,
that done.
and I don't know what she meant by, you know, her email said somebody, one of the big players asked for this last week. I don't know if that meant.
It was
one of the-
actually a solar company.
As I say, it sounded to me like it would have been a solar
It
company.
it actually
So
was, and
that kinda
that really surprised me.
So-
So I was like, well, if they have concerns, wow, that's,
Yeah,
I wonder where this is
Well, they want to
going.
do it right too, I'm sure. That way they're
Right.
not held liable for anything that's been done. And
Yeah, it
then-
was a large solar company. I can't
Right.
remember. She told me the name, but.
What was the study?
Basically, to look at have the legislature look through the legislative process is kind of what I understood it to be. She called it a resolution study. I don't,
A legislative study?
That's what it was.
I did talk with a council member from one of the communities recently, and who had also expressed some concerns about the solar piece. And so I said I would get back to him, and then I spoke to Susan about the same issue, and she had gotten that information. So she is recommending this legislative study so that it would, basically what it does is it forces us to set up the conversations between all of the entities so that we can at least have, you know, that started. So I think it would be a very good step.
Well, that, go ahead.
I just want to comment, I think if you're really concerned about the voice you have, about the solar panels or arrays, I think the resolution would be a must that you have to send to the state. And like she said, get that conversation started with the legislators.
I agree, yeah.
Have to, because, yeah,
Chair, Kellen? Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Andy.
Derek Van Orden reached out to me, and he was saying that they're concerned a little bit about what's going on because they're getting a lot of phone calls. So I'll reach out to his office, being that they reached out to me, and see if they could come to our next meeting.
That would be welcome as well.
because, yeah, some of the environmental impacts on some of these that hailstorms have destroyed or whatever, there's been studies found that ground contamination, what elements are left in there, whether they can ever be used to produce food or anything again. So since we're in a sensitive area with all the water flows and all the little bit here, and
Yeah, just don't want to make sure we're not doing something
that we're gonna
accidentally.
regret, we're not gonna be
Correct.
here in 25 years to see what might happen to it.
Right. Okay. Anyway, so something solar related?
Yeah, what date was that email from Susan? I think if anybody has that up. Yeah.
It's like Monday.
What? Oh, I didn't get it.
I got it.
Yeah, maybe me and
Well, I guess it was only sent to myself.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. That may be what it was.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
No, but that makes sense then, but yeah. that's-
Basically, it's just those three sentences, basically recommended state legislative, requesting the creation of a state legislative study committee on this issue is what she requested.
That was the-
That's all it said. So
And that's what we should do, yeah, because we brought that up at the Towns Association District meeting, that get our electors aware of what is going on locally.
Yep. I think that would be, that'd be perfect. Yeah. Okay, zoning updates continued.
Well, I guess we got a few citations always floating around out there, if any of you all get some calls about disgruntled individuals that got citations, you know, they all got them for a reason, you know, we have reasons for giving them to them, we don't just do it randomly, and, hot topic has always been junk, you know, that's the big one. So there's a few of them floating around out there,
Okay,
a lot more to come, I'm sure, so.
I'm sure.
Mark, on that, like stipulation, like X amount of vehicles on a site at a time, or what qualifies as needing either a salvage license or too
Well,
much
I mean, the
junk?
ordinance states for inoperable vehicles is 5 or more, I believe is what it says, and You know, there are people that have more than one licensed vehicle that they use. We don't count those. We don't count any that are under a roof or in their garage. But I guess salvage yard, I don't know if any of them ever push it. I mean, the salvage yard, you know, they're all, like, all the salvage yards we have now probably would never get permitted brand new because they're all existing, too close to whatever, and that's probably what it all became from, other than being unsightly, is maybe some of the salvage yards were upset with people that did things that they were doing, you know, but it's 5 or more, I think it's what the ordinance says, and it's inoperable vehicles, you know, and that's an easy one to count because you can count vehicles, you know. Junk, it's kind of a gray area term sometimes. I mean, some people got piles of lumber, you know, we don't know, a lot of stuff we do with this, like, trash-related kind of junk, you know.
Mark, question on that. If they own land in more than one area, and in one, like the piece that's here, they've got up to their full as far as your salvage yard, and then they start putting on additional land that they own, they start
Well, we
stacking.
look at all
Is
the
that
sites
two sites?
individually, we look at we would look at sites individually.
So it is by property
Unless
size,
they
not
were
by
all kind of
ownership.
joined together, we might consider it all one unit, like we do with zoning for parcels, you know, it's.
Right.
But say they got 40 acres in one area, another area, they would all be treated separately.
They're treated as a separate site.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I wonder about a little explanation about the inoperable, because that seems like a hard.
There's a definition in the ordinance, I don't know it right off the top of my head, but it's an inoperable vehicle is, you know, the examples are unlicensed or haven't been moved in like 45 days, things like that, that's what, you know, there's a definition of inoperable vehicle in our ordinance.
There's a lot of businesses that don't license all their vehicles all year, like landscapers. I know
Yeah.
we didn't, you know, we just did the operating season. I mean, probably March till, so 6 months, they'd be inoperable, unlicensed, uninsured vehicles.
I guess we would have to look at it individually. I mean, if there's farm units that don't have licenses on their vehicles, but they use them for farming operations, I would probably not count those against them, you know, because they're using them. You know. I think the whole term of, or the whole point of the ordinance was just looking like Fred Sanford's backyard or something like that, you know. They don't want these things laying around, but if somebody's, say you got a truck that doesn't leave the farm, you know, and you use it for grain or whatever, you know, I don't think that should count against you, but.
All right.
Just a comment here. I think unoperable is like, can you drive it on the road? Can you physically move it onto the road on its own power? I mean, that's kind of, I think, part of what inoperable, or that would be operable. Inoperable is it cannot move on its own, under its own power, legally on the road.
Well, I trust your judgment, I'm not worried about it. So,
Well, there's some that shouldn't be on the road that are on the road.
can we put those
Yeah,
on service?
it's not an easy,
Yeah.
straightforward.
No.
But yeah, it's always gonna be I don't know, I mean, I don't think it's ever gonna go away. You know.
Anything else on the zoning side of things, Mark?
Oh, not that I can think of. I mean, it's gonna be interesting moving forward with our department anyways, and we got a posting already for Burgess' position. The applications are due, I believe, on the 18th. Have some interviews by the end of the month. That's the plan anyways.
Those are huge shoes to fill, so,
Yep,
yeah.
that's for sure.
Well, okay, thank you. Item 10 is a resolution for support for increasing base funding for county conservation staffing. It looks like Haley's gonna be bringing that forward.
Yeah, so this is stemming from our conversation last month about the state increasing, or us supporting the increase in the state funding for our staffing grant. And in talking with Susan, the resolution was the best action to move forward instead of writing like a simple letter or having each of you, reach out individually. It's more of a collective coming from the committee and the county board to move forward in supporting the state to increase the base funding for our staffing grant. We have been advocating for this for many years, and we are I should define we. So our state association, so Wisconsin Land and Water, they have been advocating for this. They are also working with the Wisconsin Counties Association, and that is also one of their initiatives. So they're asking for local governments to also show their support. So this is our plan of action and best way to show support in moving forward with increasing that funding. I can't say that this is going to actually increase the funding, but it shows that we are in support of that. Or you guys are in support of that, I should say. So we had that conversation in the last meeting about why the funding should be increased and that how we really are not even meeting our base funding at this point. We're getting less than half of what we always ask for. So, and that would trickle, if we get increased funding, that would help our county levy, in the bottom line. So just to bring it back to our local level here, it would help increase or decrease us using county levy funds and put that to something else. So I'm a strong advocate for getting more increasing on our state funding part of it. And this is all state funding and not federal. So that would be the resolution. Do we need to read the resolution? It is a long one. So this is a template that was drafted by the Wisconsin Land and Water. So I took that and I updated it for our resolutions and had Susan check over it. And that is where this currently sits. So if approved here, it would move on to the county board here in, I think it's May 19th is when the county board is.
Okay. Any comments, questions from the committee? It seems like a pretty logical thing to pass on.
You want a motion
I would
before it's read,
entertain,
or?
I'll entertain one, or if there's questions or discussion.
I'll make the motion to approve this resolution to go forward to county board.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. I'll send that to county board.
Perfect, thank you. I will pass this around for signatures then. They
Okay.
are on the second page because it's that long.
Okay, and next up is our conservation update from Haley.
Yeah, I'll just keep my mic on. Makes it easy. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to Verge for everything that she has done, and we all wish her well in her retirement. So we really do appreciate everything she does, and she's going to be greatly missed within the department. But I know she's just a phone call away, so she's not too far.
4 miles away.
Yeah. So, no, I just want to say thank you.
Sorry.
So after that, tree and shrub was last week. It went really well. I will have more definitive numbers for you guys. We're still paying on the nurseries, so still getting final numbers on everything. So, but looking at a quick look, I think we had about 135 orders, which was less than last year. However, we had some very large orders. So I think that really decreased the amount of stock we had and decreased the number of orders. So they were some very large orders, which was kind of exciting to see, and it worked out really well. And then we sold, I think, over 14,000 trees is what we ended up selling and handling last week. So it's awesome to see, and those are all going here right in Wisconsin, most of them staying right within Trempealeau County. So really an increase for our wildlife habitat. So it's exciting for that part. And then this week we are having our land judging competition, so that is tomorrow. So we have 4 schools going to be attending and about 50 students. So the site is going to be just outside of Blair, and looking at the weather, it looks like we're gonna have beautiful weather, unlike some of the past years where it's raining or snowing or cold or windy. So we're really excited actually for for tomorrow. So I think all the kids are excited as well to get probably out of the classroom at that point. So, and then nutrient management plans were due April 15th. So we got a good amount of them. We are still working with a couple people to get those in. With the Western Tech, there was Brad Sirianni retired from there. There was a new staff person there this year, and I don't think producers realize that, and I think Brad worked more one-on-one with a lot of them, so we're working with a lot of those individuals to bring them up, getting in their nutrient management plans. Projects are starting with this nice weather, so people are getting out and we're getting construction started for the season, so we will be busy on that part of it. And I think the last thing is cover crop application is due July 15th, so that is coming up so that we can start getting all the documentation ready for our swarm grants and everything like that, because there is new rules as of last year for the cover cropping, so we have to go through multiple checks on that one. So just wanted to send out a reminder that July 15th is when those are due. Rick, I believe, sent out a whole slew of emails, and that's being posted, I think, on the Facebook and by WTCO as well on their channel. So it's getting out across different boards. So, but that is mostly what I have for conservation. We're busy and we're rocking and rolling.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next item then is a discussion regarding a reappointment of our town's representative and livestock representative to the Environment and Land Use Committee. So that would be regarding our town's rep, Tony Munson, and Randy Severson, our livestock rep. So, as I understood, that was in the town's association. What was the?
Was, but it wasn't on the agenda or didn't get discussed till after the meeting, and so I'm either here or wait till July, take your pick.
I think his term's up April 30th.
Yeah, right. Technically, yeah.
I mean, you could send a letter of recommendation to Rebecca to reappoint it.
That would be my letter, or my
Yeah.
thought. But does someone want to?
I asked Dan after that, I said, we forgot something when we did the election. Meeting was closed.
Just keep in mind, that should actually be probably on the January
Should
agenda.
be.
For the next.
For the next cycle,
Yeah.
year cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It got to be late after basically it expires. I don't know why they didn't do that.
because, yeah, now it would be a while.
2 years, we're on 2 year cycle.
No, like
Yeah.
for the next meeting though.
Yeah, July is the
Yeah.
next
It'd
meeting.
be-
Yeah.
So, well, I think that's something that, well, do we want to wait and take the town's rep or recommendation, or appoint who we?
You want to send a letter recommending that Randy and Tony be reappointed?
That would be my,
Okay.
do we need a motion to that effect? Probably.
I move that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Whalen, second by Larson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I,
Opposed? Motion carried. We will send that letter. And, okay, next item is future agenda items. We already had the solar petition, as outlined by Susan. I think I had another one.
The CUP.
Yeah, conditional use permit next month.
And then the revisit on the comprehensive planning.
Yes, with Rebecca. Anything else? Potentially the Malcheski, I don't know.
I mean, I didn't see the letter
So,
because we didn't address to you, and
sure.
I guess I'll touch base more with Susan other than what we just talked about
You
earlier.
you
before
guys
the meeting, and
discuss it and figure out.
I guess we'll deal with accordingly. I
The
guess
real
he's gonna
road.
get his,
Just deal with the same issues that we've had.
More or
Oh, yeah.
less, I didn't think that we made it better. I don't know. So,
you know, I probably
It's-
won't know how I feel about it, but I guess that's his right to
Correct.
do whatever he wants to try
correct,
to
so
do there. but-
we will, at this point, we'll let Susan and you
Right, we'll
discuss it,
figure
and
something out, and I guess,
If it needs to
I
come
think she
back.
did send a response to Ed's attorney, and they can decide if they want to go variance or petition to amend the ordinance, I guess.
Yep. Could go either
So
way.
that'll be, if there's a petition to amend the ordinance, public hearings involved,
Probably be in July.
unless it happens within the
Tomorrow.
next 12 hours or 24 hours, it wouldn't be till July.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Just a question, I guess, a few months back when PFAS was the big issue, I had asked the question, do we have any known contamination in Trempealeau County? And the answer I got was no. But now has anybody gone any further? Do any of our local fire departments use this product at all? The other one I heard in this last week now was they have found some of this contamination in city sludge that's being fed on fields. Is this our area to look at? Is this something we should talk about, or is it?
I guess it's something we're talking about. We're the ones that live here, but I guess they should be regulated before they even put the stuff on there. It should be figured out what can and shouldn't be put on property.
Well, the question that's brought up is DNR's running around the northern part of the county in my area, actually testing some private wells around farms that have had sludge put on. Yes, they have DNR pre-approval.
Yeah.
It's all followed the guidelines, but since PFAS was found in Eau Claire County in the one well close to the paper mill, they think it might have transferred to that, so they're wondering, because they told the party not to drink their well water till they got the tests back. That's as far as I've heard, but it could be an issue, but since PFAS is in Eau Claire County, southern part of the county, it could be in our aquifer or coming. Do we have a plan for providing bottled water to some residents if it was contaminated? I don't know. Is it worth looking into?
I think part of this is like maybe a combination of health department and potentially conservation. I don't know if conservation would have like the bottled water part of it. That might be more of a health department part. So I think that might be a conversation that needs to be had with multiple departments, not just here. So I could reach out to somebody in health department. I'd have to see who that would potentially be, because I know they are also limited staff as well. But we can at least get that dialogue started.
Because, the party was concerned or whatever when the DNR showed up, and so
Yeah.
they asked questions. It's like,
Naturally.
Yeah, and I
That would be
haven't,
too.
it's interesting this is the first that, I'm hearing about it. Maybe health department has heard. I'm not,
I haven't heard nothing
not
about
entirely
it.
sure. So.
that was in question because the property's being sold now, beginning of June too, that they're questioning on some of it
Yeah.
also.
Okay. Yeah, I'll open up that dialogue with health department.
Okay. That'd be good. Anything else for future?
Because I maybe should have asked this during zoning, but whatever happened with some of the agritourism locations that were operating
Yeah,
outside?
I've gotten a bunch of stuff from different counties on how they address it, and I guess from what I could gather from their information, a lot of it is handled with conditional uses versus rezones. And we could choose one way or the other, but with conditional uses, you can put hours of operation, different things. With commercial, you're kind of giving them a free rein to do something. Some of the one in particular is more retail than the others, I guess. But I did find some language from another county that did allow some of that retail stuff, and they handle it with conditional use permits. It would be probably, like, there is a stipulation in our ordinance where we, even if it's not listed in our ordinance, we can require a conditional use permit, and then we would just have to add it to the ordinance, as far as. And then, that might be the least painful route, I guess, would be conditional using some of the stuff. Because we don't really want to put them out of business or anything like that, and,
Right.
as long as they, it just seems like they kind of keep morphing into something more, I guess, but, but a conditional use, we could spell out individually each site, what can and happen on that site, They turn into they go from selling produce to selling clothes or something, or pizza or ice cream, and.
Wasn't what it was said. to
Yeah,
be.
I think that might have been the intent all along, but we weren't informed of some of the intent. I
Right,
guess, so.
right.
But, we can handle it one of two ways, either, a conditional use or a rezone,
Okay.
And, you know, at one time I thought everything should be zoned commercial, but the more I think about it, you know, these conditional uses are more, gives us a little bit more control over what's going on.
And then if they were gonna wanna change, then they would have to come.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to, I mean, I guess I would ask them to pretty much plan for everything. You know, just because they're not gonna do it today, you know, plan for the future. That way we know it all up front.
Does it spell out in the conditional use, whether it be seasonal or versus conditional use or
Some of the
commercial?
language I got from some of the counties, it was based on some seasonal stuff mostly, you know, X amount of days versus not a full-time retail type store, you know. And then maybe we won't have to, we can't treat them all the same. One of them that is more of a store setting, you know, maybe a portion of that property would have to be the commercial part and not just, because I don't think they should be able to hide behind agritourism for everything, you know, or agribusiness or whatever, but like I said, we don't wanna discourage those things in this county, you know. Just
And
want
ju-
it done right, you know.
One thing that economic development was recommending was more of the ice cream shop type tourist pipe. That was, we had a report that we did with UW-Madison with some of the students, and that was one thing they emphasized, is that they thought there would be more places for a lot of niche companies like that in Trempealeau County. So you'll see a little bit more recommendations along that line. So we should get something solid what we want to do with them, because they are coming.
Oh, yeah.
So
They're
do we
here,
make
I mean.
parking specifics, which we already have in our ordinance or whatever? I mean, do we gotta update some of that stuff between the conditional use or commercial for seasonal economic tourism?
I mean, that's why I think some of the counties went the conditional use route, because it wasn't a full-time thing, you know, that way they don't jump to the commercial right away, because I think sometimes the commercial, the fear is that, okay, it's zone commercial, now who knows what they're gonna try to do there, you know? That's kind of, it's always kind of what's in the back of my mind, is you don't wanna give them a, or, you know, if say they go away and something else moves in there, you know, then we don't have much control over it, man. And, you know, and we have parts in the ordinance that would address parking and all the setback stuff, you know, that's all separate anyways, so.
Sounds good. Anything else for future agenda items? Only, well, we are sure gonna miss Verge next month. We're gonna miss you. That is.
I have asked her to change her mind. I haven't. I said, you can't do this, is what I said. That's true, yeah. Maybe we should have lunch.
Yeah.
Go enjoy life, Verge.
Yeah.
Go enjoy life. You put in your time, it's time.
We are gonna miss you though, that is for sure, so, thank you.
Enjoy retirement.
Yes,
Stuff like that, yeah. you
yeah,
know.
no, naturally. Well, thank you for 29 years of service to the county, and I will for sure miss you, so,
Thank you.
Kellen?
yes.
Are you going to summer road school?
I am.
You are. So that means
that
this
during
week,
that?
you and I are both gone.
Okay, I hadn't gotten that far yet. So next, so the next meeting does fall when Dave and I will be in the Dells for a meeting. So we would be entertaining a different date. We could look at the Friday, the next day, the Thursday could work, I think. Otherwise, we could push it a week.
Either one works for me. I don't know how
Right,
that fits
that's,
with
I'm
anybody
good
else.
either one of those,
You got the
whichever.
Finance on the 6th, didn't you move it to that or whatever, or how did you move that?
Wait a minute. Yeah, we moved that to Thursday. That's right. I didn't bring that
So
note
you have
with
that on
me.
the 5th. So Thursday does not work.
Not work, right.
So,
Typically, law enforcement is that second Wednesday,
okay.
8.
And highway.
Typically, it's a short meeting, but you never know.
Do
Ted.
we want, about, I mean, is Monday the 9th an option?
That's property committee.
Okay,
Did you say Tuesday the 10th?
P-TED is Tuesdays.
Yeah, highways that morning
But
too.
Tuesday, the 3rd is P-TED, Tuesday, the
Oh, The
10th
10th, okay, yeah.
is highway,
Yeah.
but that's out at highway. I don't know who's on highway, though.
Maybe.
Oh, well, okay, well then, never mind.
So, I mean, the 6th on that Friday.
I think Friday's pretty much open for anybody, I think, isn't it?
Friday the 6th? Friday, June 6th will be our next meeting date.
At 8:30?
Yes. Unless anyone else has any suggestions, but I think we'll stick with that. Okay. With that, once again, thank you, Verge. Enjoy your retirement.
Oh, thank you.
And we will see everybody on June 6th at 8:30. 8:30 start.
And what time is it? It's
It is
9.
9:35. All right, thank you all.